So this presentation entitled Global and Local Geo-Chemo-Stratigraphic Events in the Cyrenaican Miocene Carbonate Platform Ar-Rajmah Group, Central Mediterranean, Northeast Libya, using carbon-stable isotopes and XRF analysis. So this introduction, this talk will be divided in two parts. The first part focuses on general introduction, and then the second part we talk about our case study that's selected from Cyrenaican Miocene rocks. Delta carbon 13. The stable isotope geochemistry is mainly to study paleoclimatology using delta oxygen 18 and paleo-ocean chemistry using delta carbon 13. And also our sample is the ratio of the stable isotopes between carbon 12 to carbon 13 to carbon 12. So delta carbon 13 isotopic signature is a measure of our sample minus our standard divided by our standard, reported in per thousands or per mil, in parts per thousand. The delta 13 or carbon 13 variations delta carbon 13 varies in time due to or as a function of productivity, function of the signature of the inorganic source, organic carbon period, and vegetation type. Geologic significance of carbon 13 excursions. Methane, C3 and C4 plants C4 plants have depleted delta carbon 13 signatures. Also, mass extinctions are often marked by negative delta carbon 13 anomaly, thought to represent a decrease in primary productivity and release of plant-based carbon. This scenario, this is the global warming scenario. Next, we'll talk about the global cooling scenario, which is the evolution of large land plants in the late Devonian led to organic carbon period increase, and consequently a rise in delta carbon 13. The methodology, as you may aware, two methods of preparation, the fossil sample and bulk rock sample. There are two different ways. Middle Miocene Monterey event. This is a long interval of time characterized by relatively positive carbon isotope values recorded from foraminiferal carbonate in numerous oceanic settings, which is global event as we define it before the presentation. Monterey positive carbon isotope, delta carbon 13 excursion. The Miocene climatic optimum, MCO, 14 to 17 million years ago. The temperature was 3 to 4 degrees C, warmer than present day. Also in the Monterey positive carbon isotope, delta carbon 13 excursions, oceans more depleted in carbon 12 relative to carbon 13. The long-standing Monterey hypothesis used this excursion to invoke massive marine organic carbon burial and drawdown of atmospheric CO2 as a cause for the subsequent Miocene climate transition from warming to cooling and Antarctic glaciation. This is the global cooling that reflects to high productivity in organic matter and decrease of CO2 in atmosphere. Explanation and disputes. Vincent and Bergen, 1985, recognized a link between carbon isotope stratigraphy, organic carbon burial, and phosphogenesis in Monterey formation. The explanation of carbon isotope excursion. 1. Changes in ocean upwelling to increased silicate weathering related to mountain building, nutrient supply by river action, according to Huddle and Woodruff. These are the two, or the explanation of how it comes the carbon isotope excursion or high carbon excursion. The global Monterey carbon signature in the Miocene. This slide shows the carbon curves or carbon isotope curves. Here from right to left, see here the global isotope curve, and then here from Indian Ocean, the second one from the Indian Ocean, the third from Cyrenaica, our study or in our region, and rest the other Mediterranean countries. And this colored zone, the middle Miocene, middle or high carbon excursion in middle Miocene, which is called or which is known Monterey event. You can see here high organic excursion and prove it in many other countries or many different places. Now let me move to the second part of the presentation to talk about our case study, Cyrenaican that focuses on Cyrenaican Miocene carbonate rocks. Libya, it has number of sedimentary basins. As you see here in the map, Al-Kufra Basin, Morzik Basin toward the south, and here in the central part, Sirte Basin. In the west or southwestern part, the Ghadams Basin. Here, offshore Sirte, and here, Tripolitania Sub-Basin. Here, the Cyrenaica platform, located at the northeastern part of Libya, where our study has been done here. You can see here Jabal Akhdar uplift at the north and Cyrenaica platform at the south, separated by Jurassic hinge line. These stratigraphic charts of Cyrenaica, the exposed formations started from late Cretaceous to late Miocene, as you see here. The charts. We focus on our study on Miocene. Tectonic setting of Cyrenaica platform and adjacent area. You see here Cyrenaica platform is bounded by Sirte Basin to the west and Al-Jabal Akhdar uplift to the north. Location map. Location map of the study area. Here this Cyrenaica northeast Libya, Cyrenaican Miocene Al-Jabal Akhdar uplift, and Suluk Trough northeast Libya. Yeah, the yellow bars here are distributed along 135 kilometer, and also represent the measured stratigraphic section, or 29 measured stratigraphic sections. The database. We selected one detailed field measured section, A1 of 74 thick, to represent the Miocene of Cyrenaica. This detailed measured section was sampled every 0.5 meter to get 145 samples to run 3 different analyses: XRF for trace and common element analysis, whole rock stable isotope for using carbon and oxygen, and also thin section petrographic analysis, different 3 analyses. So here you can see the outcome and main points to be discussed in this presentation. So the whole Miocene rock, or the whole Cyrenaican Miocene section, are preserved. Indicated by what? Indicated by carbon isotope data. And the dissolutional events of calcium indicated by XRF. 3 dissolutional events of calcium indicated by XRF. Occurred with high porosity zones associated with positive carbon excursions, and major transgressive events. High porosity zones by petrographic analysis, indicated by petrographic analysis, while the carbon or positive excursions indicated by stable isotope analysis, and major transgressive events indicated by sequence stratigraphic analysis. We will talk about the sequence stratigraphic framework of the Cyrenaican Miocene in details next slides. In addition, in the Cyrenaican Miocene carbonate rocks, there is a significant negative correlation between amount of CaCO3 and oxygen 18 or delta oxygen 18 values. Methods. We have done in this study lab work, field work and lab work. In the field work, we determined detailed regional fascist relationship, and in the lab work we have done different, or we have done thin sections. We have done thin section for diagenesis and porosity, also XRF for trace and common elements, also stable isotope for whole rocks or for carbon and oxygen. For carbon and oxygen. Also, we integrate the field measured sections with the gamma ray curves with carbon isotope curves, and we selected the datum. So the datum was selected on the base of maximum flooding surfaces, which has both high gamma ray values and positive carbon isotope excursion. Results. So according to the previous studies and according to our study, so Al-Rajmah Group depositional is a ramp profile, which has three different environments: peritidal fasces, ramp crest fasces, and subtidal fasces. Also, the Cyrenaican Miocene carbonates has two second order supersequences, comprises six third order sequences, two second order and six third order. Here you can see the sequence stratigraphic framework of the Cyrenaican Miocene. This cross-section has been constructed from, or roughly from, north to south, and the datum, you can see it here, was selected at the base of the maximum flooding surface. By different colors here, the fascist distribution. The yellow color represents the oolitic greenstone. You see here dominant, the oolitic greenstone. It means that this is the ramp, and this is the peritidal fasces, and the subtidal, which has algal limestone for instant. Here, oolitic greenstone for as an example, and here an example of evaporites. The red color represents the carbon curve. You see here high carbon excursion, and while the black color represents the gamma ray curve. You see high gamma ray associated with high carbon excursion. So the Cyrenaican middle Miocene has highest enrichment of carbon isotope values, has a high gamma ray zone, and maximum flooding zone. This slide tying the field work with the lab work. The field work, you see here the major section A1, as we said in the last minutes. So divided into two second order sequences or cycles and six third order cycles. You see it's 1, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. While the lab work, we have three curves the calcium curve, the carbon curve, and porosity curve. You see here P1, A1, A2, A3, the different, or these are the dissolutional events of calcium represent decrease the value of calcium here depleted associated with or coincided with high porosity dissolution with high carbon excursion, as you see here by the red arrows. Associated with and associated with the third order transgressive events or transgressive cycles, as you see here, an example. Photomicrographs of the porosity types. Here you can see different types of secondary porosity. Oomuldic porosity in oolitic grainstone fasces, biomoldic porosity in coralline red algal fasces, fenestral porosity in microbial fasces, fracture porosity, frame growth porosity, and biomoldic porosity. Results of calcium carbonate dissolutional events. As we said, 3 dissolutional events were associated with major transgressive events and positive carbon excursions. In addition, also a dramatic increase in their porosity values. Also, there is a substantial negative correlation between the weight percentage of calcium carbonate values and delta oxygen 18 values in the Cyrenaican carbonate Miocene rocks. This slide shows the relation between the weight of calcium and oxygen or oxygen isotope values. This is the X axial, and while this is the Y axial. From the X axial from 0 to 15 to 50, while the Y axial from -10 to 6. These points represent, and you see, these points represent a strong correlation or strong negative correlation between calcium and oxygen. And we draw the regression line, and from the regression line, R square equals 0.67. So this is the value of R square. Let me to conclude this presentation. The conclusion from the first introduction: carbon isotopes used for understanding the biochemistry of the oceans, to understand the productivity of the organic matters. So the productivity increase needs nutrition that comes from upwelling of the currents and rivers. The Monterey event has a global repeated signature, and this was confirmed in Cyrenaica, Malta, Japan, Italy, and Spain as well. This signature represents a high carbon excursion in Middle Miocene. The Cyrenaican platform is a carbonate-dominated system with an observable siliciclastic influx in the Middle Miocene that has high gamma ray, 2 second-order transgressive system tract, and 2 global events of CaCO3 depletion in the Middle Miocene. The strong negative relationship between calcium carbonate weight percentage values and delta oxygen 18 value in the Cyrenaican carbonate rocks could be related to climatic factors that need more research to be done on this subject. To talk about the last slide of the conclusion, the Cyrenaican Miocene Ar-Rajmah Group carbonate platform rocks record 2 second order, as we said, 2 second order sequence and 6 third order sequence based on the integration of delta carbon isotope data. In the ramp system, in this ramp system, the subtidal coralline red algae dominated by early Miocene and gradually replaced by shallower ramp cryptolithic grainstone and pretidal restricted microbial fascies in the middle Miocene and late Miocene. 3 global major events on the Cyrenaican platform recorded 3 major global events of CaCO3 depletions that associated with major transcriptive events and positive carbon isotope excursions. Thank you for your listening, and I look forward to seeing you next. Thank you.